Forget billions. Let's talk about trillions. Some experts whisper a number so big it sounds like science fiction. $500 trillion. That's more money than every other fortune on Earth combined. Could one single family truly hold that much power? They started in a tiny, cramped house and built a global financial dynasty that controlled the fate of kings and countries. Their story is packed with secrets, genius strategies, and a level of luxury that makes modern billionaires look like they're on a budget. Stick with me, because we're about to uncover the truth behind the Rothschilds, and the scale of their wealth will blow your mind. Before we reveal the one secret that started it all, I need to know you're with me on this journey. Hit subscribe so we can uncover the truth together. From a crowded alley to a global empire, our story doesn't start in a penthouse suite or a sprawling mansion. No, it starts in the 1700s, in a cramped, walled-in Jewish quarter in Frankfurt, Germany. This was a tough place to live, with strict rules and very few opportunities. In this neighborhood lived a man named Mayer Amschel Rothschild. Mayer wasn't born with a silver spoon in his mouth. He was a clever man who started out as a humble dealer of old coins and medals. He had a small shop, and he learned something very important. Rare things are valuable, and the people who have them, the rich princes and dukes of Europe, were always looking for more. He developed a reputation for being honest and for finding the absolute best items. He became a trusted supplier to the local German nobility, including one of the wealthiest men in Europe, Crown Prince Wilhelm of Hesse. This was his big break, but Mayer had a vision that went far beyond his tiny coin shop. He wasn't just thinking about his own success. He was thinking about a dynasty. He had 5 sons, and let me tell you, this is where the story goes from a small business to a global takeover. He knew that to build real, lasting wealth, you couldn't just stay in one place. You had to be everywhere, and the best part is coming up, because his plan was so simple, it was absolute genius. The 5 Arrows, a financial conquest of Europe. Mayer Amschel Rothschild was a brilliant strategist. Before he passed away, he sat his 5 sons down and laid out his master plan. He compared his sons to a bundle of 5 arrows. One arrow, he explained, is easily broken, but 5 arrows bundled together, unbreakable. This became the family's symbol and their guiding philosophy. They would always work together as one unit, no matter how far apart they were. And he sent them far, far apart. This was his game-changing move. He kept one son, Amschel, in Frankfurt to manage the home base. He sent his son, Salomon, to Vienna, the heart of the powerful Habsburg Empire. He sent Karl to Naples, a key port city in Italy. He sent James, the youngest, to the most glamorous city in the world, Paris. And then there was Nathan. He sent his most ambitious and brilliant son, Nathan Mayer Rothschild, to England. First to Manchester, the centre of the textile trade, and then to London, the financial capital of the entire world. You see what he was doing? He was creating the world's first truly international bank. Each son established a bank in a major European capital. They were like 5 heads of a single financial dragon, all connected, all sharing information. While other banks were local, the Rothschilds were everywhere. They could move money across borders faster and more secretly than anyone else. If a king in Austria needed a loan, Salomon could arrange it, backed by the family's immense capital in London, Paris, and Frankfurt. They were the Amazon of banking, before Amazon was even a glimmer in anyone's eye. But their real secret weapon wasn't just money, it was information, and how they used that information to pull off the single greatest trade in history. Well, that's a story you have to hear to believe. Trust me, it's coming up next. The Waterloo Secret, How to Buy a Country. Okay, get ready for this, because this is the legend that cemented the Rothschilds as the masters of the financial universe. The year is 1815. All of Europe is holding its breath. The great French general Napoleon Bonaparte has returned, and is facing a final confrontation against the British-led forces at a place called Waterloo. The fate of the entire continent hung in the balance, and on the London Stock Exchange, everyone was panicking. If Napoleon won, British government bonds would be worthless. If the British General Wellington won, they would skyrocket in value. It was the ultimate gamble. Now, Nathan Rothschild in London had spent years building the fastest information network on the planet. He didn't have a phone or the internet. He had a network of secret agents, couriers on fast horses, and even carrier pigeons. His network was faster than the government's own, while everyone else waited for the official news, which would take days to cross the English Channel. Nathan wanted the information now. As the clash at Waterloo raged, a Rothschild agent was right there at the edge of the action. As soon as it was clear Napoleon was defeated, the agent took off. He rode like the wind to the coast, hopped on a boat through a raging storm, and handed the news to Nathan Rothschild a full 24 hours before the government's own messenger. Nathan walked onto the floor of the London Stock Exchange the next morning. Everyone watched his every move. He was the biggest player in the game. With a somber look on his face, he started to sell his British bonds. Everyone watching thought the worst. They thought, Rothschild knows, Wellington must have lost. Panic selling erupted. The price of British bonds crashed through the floor. People were getting rid of them for pennies on the dollar, desperate to save what little they could. And as everyone else was selling in a frenzy, what do you think Nathan was doing? His agents were secretly buying up every single bond they could get their hands on for almost nothing. A day later, the official news arrived. Napoleon was defeated. Wellington was a hero. The market exploded with joy. The price of British bonds didn't just recover, it soared to historic highs. In a single day, Nathan Rothschild had multiplied his already massive fortune by a factor of 20. Some say that in that one move, the Rothschild family took effective control of a huge portion of Great Britain's entire economy. It was the most audacious, high-stakes financial play of all time. But that was just the beginning. Funding armies was one thing, but what they did next put them on a level above kings and presidents. The scale of their ambition is truly jaw-dropping, and we're getting to that right now. Bankers to the world, kings on speed dial. After the Waterloo incident, the Rothschilds weren't just rich, they were a global power, an entity unto themselves. If you were a king or a queen in the 19th century and you needed money for, let's say, a little conflict with your neighbour, or maybe to fund a new railroad across your country, you didn't go to another country, you went to the Rothschilds. Think about that for a second. They were the world's lender of last resort. They bailed out the Bank of England, not once but multiple times. They financed Brazil's independence from Portugal. They paid for the British to purchase the Suez Canal, a vital waterway that connected Europe to Asia. The deal was done in a matter of hours by Lionel de Rothschild, Nathan's son. He was asked by the Prime Minister if he could secure £4 million, a colossal sum, in a few days. Lionel reportedly replied, "When would you like it?" He funded the entire thing with his own money. They weren't just lending money, they were shaping world events. Their 5 branches, the 5 arrows, worked in perfect harmony. James in Paris would finance France's massive industrial boom, building the country's first major railways. Salomon in Vienna became the most powerful banker in the Austrian Empire. They were so influential that they were all granted noble titles. These guys, who started in a cramped ghetto, were now barons with coats of arms, treated as equals by the oldest royal families in Europe. Their influence was everywhere. They financed the De Beers Diamond Company, essentially cornering the world's diamond market. They invested in mining, oil, and infrastructure all over the globe. At the end of the day, their strategy was simple. Find a country that needed money, lend it to them, and in doing so, gain incredible influence and a fantastic return. They were playing a global game of monopoly, and they owned all the best properties. But with all that money, what kind of life did they live? You probably think you know luxury. You don't. The way the Rothschilds lived makes today's billionaires look like they're camping. And we're about to step inside their unbelievable world of palaces, parties, and priceless treasures. And if their power has you speechless, just wait until you see their palaces. If you're feeling that same sense of awe I am, press that like button. It truly lets me know. A lifestyle beyond luxury, palaces, wine, and solid gold. Let me try to paint a picture for you. When a Rothschild decided to build a house, they didn't just build a mansion, they built a palace. We're talking about structures so grand, so over the top, that even kings were jealous. In England, Baron Ferdinand de Rothschild built Waterloo Manor. It's not a house, it's a French chateau that looks like it was plucked from the Loire Valley and dropped in the English countryside. It has over 100 rooms and was built just to display his staggering art collection and to host weekend parties. These parties were legendary. Guests would arrive at their own private train station on the estate. Each guest suite had both hot and cold running water, electricity and private staff, which was unheard of luxury at the time. Then there's the wine. In 1868, Baron James de Rothschild bought Chateau Lafite, one of the most famous and prestigious vineyards in Bordeaux, France. It's now known as Chateau Lafite Rothschild. To this day, it produces some of the most expensive and sought-after wine on the planet. A single bottle can sell for tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars. They didn't just drink the best wine, they owned the source. Their homes were scattered across Europe, each one more stunning than the last. They had hunting lodges that were bigger than most castles. They had private yachts, private armies of staff, and they dressed in the finest clothes and jewels. They even influenced science and nature. They were fascinated by horticulture and zoology, creating incredible gardens and private zoos on their estates. They even had new species of orchids and exotic animals named after them. This wasn't just living large. This was creating your own reality, a world where anything you could imagine, you could have. But as the world moved into the 20th century, things began to change. The age of kings was ending, and a new world was being born. Did the family fade away? Or did they just get better at hiding their incredible wealth? The answer might surprise you, and it's the key to understanding their power today. Into the shadows, the modern Rothschilds. As the 20th century dawned, the world became a much more complicated place. The great global conflicts changed the map of Europe, and many of the old empires the Rothschilds had financed simply vanished. On top of that, a new financial power was rising across the ocean: America. The Morgans, the Rockefellers, these American dynasties were building fortunes on an American scale. So did the Rothschilds go broke? Far from it. They adapted. They were masters of changing with the times. Some of their grand palaces were given away to the public or taken by governments. The family deliberately began to take a much lower profile. They realized that in the modern world, true power isn't about showing off your wealth with giant palaces. It's about being invisible. The family business restructured. Instead of being a collection of family-run partnerships, it evolved into a more modern corporate structure. They moved deeper into the world of mergers and acquisitions, advising massive corporations and governments on huge financial deals. They are still a powerhouse in global finance, with offices in over 40 countries. Rothschild & Company is one of the most respected advisory firms in the world. You might not see their name on a skyscraper, but chances are, if a huge multi-billion-dollar deal is happening, they are in the room, advising one side or the other. Their wealth also became much harder to track. Instead of being held by a few individuals, it was spread out among hundreds of heirs and placed into a complex web of private holding companies, trusts and foundations all over the world. This is by design. It protects the fortune from taxes, from public scrutiny, and from being diluted over generations. This secrecy, of course, has led to all sorts of wild theories about the family. People have claimed they control everything from the media to global events. While most of these are just stories, they speak to a deeper truth. The sheer scale and hidden nature of their wealth makes people believe they are capable of anything. Because for 200 years they pretty much were. So the billion-dollar, or rather trillion-dollar question remains. Just how much are they actually worth today? Get ready, because the numbers people whisper are absolutely staggering. The uncountable fortune. What are they really worth? Here's the bottom line. Nobody knows for sure how much the Rothschild family is worth, and that's exactly how they want it. If you look at public rich lists, you might see a few individual Rothschilds listed with fortunes in the hundreds of millions or maybe a few billion. But that is just the tiny visible tip of a colossal iceberg. That public wealth is nothing compared to the private, generationally held assets that make up the core of the family dynasty. Let's think about this. Their fortune is over 250 years old. It has had centuries to grow and compound. While other families' fortunes are split up and spent over generations, the Rothschilds' core philosophy was to preserve the capital and work together. Financial experts have tried to estimate their total net worth, and the numbers they come up with are mind-bending. The most conservative estimates place the family's collective wealth in the range of $400 billion to $1 trillion. This would easily make them the wealthiest family on the planet, dwarfing even the Waltons of Walmart. But here's where it gets truly wild. Some analysts, looking at their historical holdings, their control of resources, their stakes in countless companies, and centuries of compounded interest, speculate that the real number could be much, much higher. Figures as high as $500 trillion have been mentioned. Now, that number sounds impossible. It's more than the estimated wealth of the entire planet, but it shows just how mythical their fortune has become. It's so large and so hidden that it has defied any attempt at a real calculation. Their wealth isn't just in stocks and bonds, it's in land, in gold bullion, stored in secret vaults, in priceless art collections that have never been seen by the public, in vineyards that produce liquid gold, and in stakes in some of the world's biggest companies. They are a financial empire that has transcended the need for public recognition. Does one family still secretly pull the strings of our world? Let me know below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more incredible stories. It's a legacy that remains the richest and most mysterious in the history of finance.